Hi, I'm Joe, and welcome to my studio. For today's lesson, I thought we would start talking about how do we make sound at the piano. At first, it might seem like a silly thing to bring up. I mean, it's a rather simple equation when you think about it. We press a key, the key raises a hammer, and the hammer strikes a string inside the piano. So easy, anyone can do it, really. Even if someone's never even had a piano lesson, they can do it. But I think the most important question, the more important question is, how do we make a beautiful sound at the piano? Because this process I just described, we hit a key, the hammer comes up and strikes a string, that sounds anything but musical, lyrical, or beautiful, right? And I've seen over the years many teachers, when they start to talk about sound production and creating beautiful tones on the piano with their students, they immediately talk about the hand. And all the important things, all the very, very useful and beneficial things. Hand position, wrist flexible and supportive, supporting the fingers, all those things. But in my opinion, tone production doesn't start with the hand. It actually starts with the butt. And what I mean by that is very few pianists, they don't analyze or think about how they sit at the piano. What you don't want to do, you don't want to sit too far back on the bench. Okay? What this does is it positions your weight, your body weight, down, straight, through your butt, into the bench, and to the floor. Okay? And what we want to use all of our body weight, our whole body, to make the sound we want. And you can try this at home, whether you're at your piano or if you're sitting at your kitchen table or in your living room, whatever chair you're on. Shift your butt and see what it does to your weight if you slide forward and you're only on half of the bench or a quarter of the bench. It positions your weight to go into the piano, where we want it to go. Because sound production and the tone we're going to make is not just from a finger, okay? It's from our whole body. Okay? And if you have small children at home who are studying piano, or if you're a teacher and you have very young children and they're too short to reach the floor, do not let their feet dangle when they play. It should not look like they're on a swing set in the playground. Okay, because that means their whole butt is on the chair, on the bench, and their weight is not positioned and not balanced correctly. So you'll need some kind of box for them to put their feet on, or a pedal extender works very well. Even if they're not going to use the pedal, just something for them to secure their feet on, so they can sit properly on the bench and let their weight go into the piano. So once you're seated correctly and you're ready to play, then all of those things I hope your teachers over the years have been pounding into your brains about good technique, hand position, round fingers, flexible but stable wrist, all of those things are very, very important at this point. Because the hand and the arm is the link. It is the link from all of your body weight going into the piano. And I use the analogy with my students that your arm and your hand is like a garden hose. Okay? And if there's a kink, let's say the kink's here on the garden hose, yes, the weight is transferring from your body down your arm, but it's stopping here. Okay? And the finger, they're on their own. Okay? We want the fingers to have support, so the weight of your body goes into the piano. The next thing, so once you're seated correctly, you have your good hand position, which I hope your teachers are always working with you on. How do we actually physically strike a key? Yes, scientifically we have to press it down, right? Okay, for the key to go down and the hammer to come up. But what if you were to imagine that you're not hitting or pushing a key, but you're pulling the sound out of the piano? In that fashion. And there's a little bit of a follow-through. Okay? rather than down. When it's down, it kind of cuts it like chokes the sound, okay? Rather than the sound being as if a vocalist, their sound starts from their throat and it comes out and blossoms, filling the concert hall or the room. It's the same thing with the piano. You want the sound to come out of the piano and fill the space, fill the room. And it all has to do with the weight and how you strike the key and the follow through. Now, to show this in context, a piece that comes to mind that kind of really exemplifies this, Chopin's Nocturne, Opus 27, number 2. And I'll just play the first line or two of it. So obviously the right hand is the melody, right? And the melody has to project over the left hand, right? The accompaniment. But notice how I got that projection. It wasn't from hitting every note to make it louder. And I exaggerate. That sounds so punchy and so unmusical. But if I start from the key, so I actually feel the key before this F. I feel it before I press it, and I pull the sound out. And I connect that sound to the next E flat, okay? And then to the next note. So it's creating like a chain link feeling, idea, note to note, and the weight is transferring from note to note instead of punching note to note. Okay, that's the beauty of the weight going into the key and the follow through and the idea of the sound coming out of the piano. You might be asking yourself, okay, well that works fine and dandy in a lyrical kind of soft-hearted piece, but what if it's something more aggressive or just plain out loud? The Appassionata comes to mind, Beethoven. And as we find in Beethoven, all over the place, there's parts where it's piano and then all of a sudden a sforzando comes or a fortissimo comes. It happens many times in this piece and many of his works. On the bottom of the first page of the Appassionata, it's about 17 measures in or so. It's pianissimo for those first two. And then it's fortissimo with those chords going up. And so many times I hear this passage, the chords just sound like they're being smacked back and forth, right, left, right, left, right, left. And that's because, yes, the music indicates that. He wrote pianissimo and then fortissimo, but you have to think of those fortissimo chords as not just being hammered, but like we do so many times with Beethoven, how do we orchestrate this sonata? How do we orchestrate his sonatas, or this piece of the sonata? And I hear a full orchestra on that fortissimo, a full-bodied sound coming from the whole orchestra and just engulfing me. And the way, again, we do that is not just hitting, but our weight is going in the piano. And for the right hand, at least, just to show that, you follow through every chord connecting physically, the weight, in other words, connecting chord to chord. Every chord has the follow through going to the next chord. So, just to recap, first thing, sit properly. Make sure your weight is transferred how you want it to be transferred, which is going to produce the best quality of sound that you want and need. 2, that transfer of weight without any kinks going into the piano, and not only transferred from your body into the piano, but again, chord to chord or note to note, whatever the piece is requiring from us. And the third thing, think about pulling the sound out of the piano rather than pushing or hitting the sound into the piano. More of a up feeling rather than a strike. So I hope these little tips help and at least just start to get you thinking about tone production and sound production and how you're coming into contact physically with the instrument. So till next time, I wish you all the best with your practice.